Detailed case summary. Tinker v. Des Moines Independent Community School District, 1969 is a landmark Supreme Court case that dealt with the First Amendment rights of students in public schools. The case arose when students in Des Moines, Iowa, were suspended for wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the students, stating that they did not lose their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech when they stepped onto school property. The decision established a precedent for the protection of student speech provided it does not cause substantial disruption to the educational process. Background facts. Claimants petitioners John F. Tinker, Mary Beth Tinker, and Christopher Eckhart. Defendant. Respondent, Des Moines Independent Community School District. In December 1965, John and Mary Beth Tinker, along with Christopher Eckhart, decided to wear black armbands to their schools in Des Moines, Iowa, to protest the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. The school district learned of the students' plan and preemptively created a policy that any student wearing an armband would be asked to remove it, and refusal to do so would result in suspension. Despite the policy, the students wore the armbands and were subsequently suspended. The students' parents filed a lawsuit claiming that the school district violated the students' First Amendment rights. Arguments. Plaintiff's argument. The Tinkers and Eckhart argued that their suspension for wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War violated their First Amendment rights to free speech. They contended that the armbands were a form of symbolic speech that did not cause disruption or interfere with the operation of the school. Defendant's argument. The Des Moines Independent Community School District argued that the prohibition of armbands was necessary to prevent potential disturbances in the school environment. They claimed that the policy was justified to maintain discipline and order within the schools. Final outcome and law justification. The Supreme Court, in a 7-2 decision, ruled in favor of the Tinker students. Justice Abe Fortas wrote the majority opinion, emphasizing that students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. The court held that the armbands represented pure speech that is entirely separate from the actions or conduct of those participating in it. The decision was based on the following legal justifications. First Amendment rights. The court recognized that the First Amendment applies to public school students, and they are entitled to express their views even on controversial subjects, provided their expression does not materially and substantially interfere with the operation of the school. Substantial disruption test. The ruling established the substantial disruption test, which permits schools to regulate speech only if it can be shown that the speech would significantly disrupt school activities or invade the rights of others. In this case, there was no evidence that the armbands would cause such disruption. Key concept. The Tinker v. Des Moines case underscores the principle that students retain their First Amendment rights within the school setting, as long as their expression does not cause substantial disruption or infringe on the rights of others. This case established the substantial disruption test as a standard for evaluating the permissibility of regulating student speech. Key takeaways for exam candidates. Understand the scope of First Amendment rights in public schools. Recognize the substantial disruption test as a critical standard for evaluating student speech. Differentiate between types of speech and the varying levels of protection afforded to each under the First Amendment in the school context. Be aware of subsequent cases that refined or clarified the principles established in Tinker.